So let's continue. Let me set up the name for the stream and controls first. Turn the controls for this stuff. Everything else is still the same. Let's put it right here. I'm still sending notifications manually to a bunch of people because I don't have enough. Where is that? Here. Okay, and here. And run this. Yeah, just send it. Okay, good. So last time we stopped on making the controls for our game. At least this thing tells me that this was the plan. We've done Unity project, now we're doing the controls for PC. Make it generic. Okay, I'll try to agree with myself. Though, I think I won't. Because making it generic right away is going to be a bit too hard, because yeah, so doing it generic right away will be a bit too hard, because I'm not yet sure which code I will have to write in there. And making code you don't know generic doesn't make much sense. But we'll try and do something. I hope this stream will be recorded properly on Twitch, because the previous one I forgot to enable this setting, so now the 0 stream is lost for eternity. No one will be able to rewatch it again, and I will not be able to publish it to YouTube, but I will do it with this one. Also, I'm not sure if I should announce on Twitch when the streams are starting up or when they are finished. Maybe both. What do you think? I think both actually make a bit of sense, because I might get people over here. Let's write something. Starting today's game dev stream right there. And controls stuff, Unix or a bit more. Okay, now we're done with preparations, and let's see what we've got here. So the last time we've left with this tiny control script being over here that can move camera forwards or backwards, and it doesn't really help in our case, because we want to drag everything with the mouse. So how we do that? Let's begin with a simple thing. We'll need to show something instead of the cursors that we usually have. So right now, if I press F5, was it F5? No? Okay. If I press run and it loads, I still see my mouse everywhere, and the mouse is not really helpful here. It doesn't do much. So let's search for Unity restrain mouse movement, restrict mouse position. Okay, set min, max, math clamp, the values you want to clamp between, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's for GUI. I remember Unity had mouse state? Yeah, cursor lock state, something like this. Cursor lock mode. Okay, let's see what modes we can have here. None. is unmodified. Good. Confined to the game window. Okay, that's probably something we want. Then Unity height cursor.visible. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and do this. Let's still keep this code over here on start on. Okay, first we'll rename this stuff. No mind. First we'll make it a singleton. Controls equals now void awake. Awake is being called in Unity when stuff haven't yet even started. I think it's the earliest you can get. I'm doing this because I don't want things to even starting if there is something wrong. So controls if this now and controls not equal this. Okay, this is an overkill. Let's omit the unnecessary parts. In some coding styles, they want you to write this control everywhere, but I won't do this, because my project, I do what I want. Throw new, let's call it argument exception. Multiple controls are not allowed on the same scene. And to make this thing work, we'll need what? Control dot. Yeah, using system. Otherwise, we'll set controls equals this. And now anyone is private. Okay. Now stuff can access this. Then on awake again, we'll do cursor dot lock state equals lock mode confined. Cursor dot visible equals false. Now what we will see is that we should see no cursor, and its movement should be restricted to the game area, which is true but slightly buggy. That's fine. You see, when I move it on top, the cursor appears back. I don't think this will ever happen in full screen mode, but it's still a bit funny. Okay, now let's create new script and call it the hand. Of course, we will attach it to something that is not a hand. Then on update, we want to place this object somewhere to identify that mouse is moving. Given that right now we're doing this for or are we? Let me think for a second. Okay, we're making it again a singleton. Static the hand instance equals null. And void wake. And let's just copy this block from over here. So what I want to do is multiple hands are basically allowed here. So if we're doing this for VR, then we will have two hands, left and right. and they will be allowed. So let's call it right hand and left hand. There is no reason for this right now, because we have one single controller, but we might run into a bunch of issues. And we'll do public bool is left equals false. This means that by default our hand will be right if is left, and this add more brackets. I love brackets. Not that much. If it's left and left hand, or if is right, not is left, and everything is the same but about the right hand. Then if is left, else, and of course I made this mistake, and of course I removed it for no particular reason. Come on, stop misclicking. And here and there. And now the next thing over here is that hide this. Never mind, that was some notification. I should disable them. Why did it even pop up? Okay, whatever. On start and on each update we should do the same thing. Should we do it on start? I don't think we really care about this on start. We care about updates. Or maybe even not the update. There was the fluid updates, Unity update versus fixed update. Let me remind myself what those two mean. So fixed update runs update runs per frame, fixed update runs once, 0 or several times per frame, depending on how much stuff is happening around. So if something is lagging, and it's horribly lagging, then fixed update will work, but regular one won't. Let's believe that controls are something to run smoothly. So let's put it here. Then I'll need public game object, my object. Not necessary, because I will have access to transform, so it's already game object. I already have everything around this. True, that's not necessary. Behavior, add user dictionary, don't bug me about this. Now, on fixed update, we will need to calculate relative position on the field. So we need Unity cursor to world position. I just know that some people have already written this stuff, because if they didn't, then no one is actually using the stuff. Like, it's not the way it works. In 2D to 3D world, to make it work, you'll need to specify the distance in front of the camera as the coordinate position you map to map so far. Example, you wanted position 10 units in front of the camera. So this means that if for some reason my camera falls under the ground, then it will not fall too far down. I mean, it will still fall too far down. This will put my object under the ground. I probably need it to be 0. My camera wouldn't have it would have a collider, but I will put it on a different layer, so this object will not catch this. Okay, yeah, I see what's the problem here. this thing transforms screen position into the world position, like in a wrong way. That's not what I want to have. Position into world since 1000 screen to world, it doesn't work. The value it returns is the same as the camera's position. Yeah, this is exactly the problem we're talking about, because this is not actually the answer, because it will put the cursor somewhere, but I want it to hit the collider or something. But it doesn't have hit defined, so it's physics.raycast. Yeah, it's this. It's this stuff. This is much better. So it's ray screen out where hit color red. So this thing will color something red. I don't care about this. I want to put this object position equals hit dot point dot hit collider render material. But point it should be, yeah, it is. So now we'll put this object directly onto the position on the screen. Let's test it. Let's say we'll put ray out hit. It's not exactly what I want to see here. Public layer mask. Allowed layers equals layer mask dot I will need something separately. Scripts. Create C# script. No. First scripts. Create folder helpers. And inside the helpers I will create the C# script called layers. Where did it send me and why? Give me back my code. Okay, so why I want this to be here? I want to have a static class without any of this stuff that will just map the layers from what I have into what I need. Layers, project settings. I don't remember where the layers are. So what layers in Unity is, it's Unity layers are some worlds where objects exist. Some objects exist on intersecting layers, means those layers can communicate with each other. Let's say we have a human that is walking on a terrain. That means they're interacting with each other. That means that those layers will have a parameter that says that they do collide. But let's imagine we have humans that are passed through each other, because we don't want to spend processing power, we don't want to bother about this, we'll use just default nav mesh and we won't care about collisions at all. In that case, we will say that that layer where the human is will not communicate with the layer where the human is. So here we have the layers, and it's default, transparent, ignore, water, UI, user layer. On which layer is my terrain? Layer default. So, okay, let's say we put... I don't like the default name, but it's built-in layer, so let's just keep it. What is this? What is this? No, remove it. Okay. public state. Come on. Thanks. Public static int default equals 0. Layers are numbers, as I remember. It should be something like this. So I will not specify max distance. Probably I should, but I'm not sure I want to. I'm sending rain there. That's a different story. Max distance, ray, float, max distance. Come on, really, you allow all the possible options with all the possible... Oh, I see, okay, not all the possible stuff. I'm sorry. You're good guys. I was wrong. Here, let's say float max value and this. That means that we don't care how far the ground is, we just want to catch it. And if we caught it, then we will move our object in there. Then the layer mapping, it's, as I remember, it's 2 to the power of this number. That's why they have just 32 of them. 31, yeah, okay. So let's call it 0x1. And it's ulong, I believe. Equals layers mask from layers mapping dot default. Name. Cannot convert ulong to layers mask. Uint. Okay. Closing stuff. Unity layer mask from int layer number. Name to layer, if you know the name, layer dot value. Layer dot value. Value. My layer dot value. That doesn't really tell me how to specify this stuff. Let's say new layer mask with value equals this. This looks like a terrible hack. Like, you know, one of those hacks that you never want to show to people, but you do them all the time because that's how you can make something fast. Unity layer mask default value. Unity layer mask default value. Do everything via code in C#. Mask equals ~0. What? What? So you say that I just didn't figure this out. Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. Good. No terrible hacks in here. So we're putting this in there, and now on fixed update we should have the object that has this stuff connected move somewhere. Let's say we create a game object, sample1, 3D sphere. That's going to be a small sphere in default position, because we don't want to mess with positions from prefabs. We'll add. So It should have the render, it should have mesh filter, it should not yet have collider. We'll need the trigger collider in there, basically. And the trigger collider will have the same size as the sphere itself. What? Really? So they're different sizes? Oh, okay, so size of material, not of the sphere. Oh my. Okay, that's good. Now we have this stuff. Let's not attach it to anything, but let's call it the hand. Let's add the hand controller. Let's keep it right. Let's leave default in here. That's what I wanted to have, but 0 is really easy to put somewhere. Even if I wrote my formula entirely wrong, like everything's terrible with it, this thing will still work fine. Okay, so now let's try running this stuff and see that the sphere follows the cursor. You see? You see what happens? Yeah, it's moving around, but... Whoop! That's funny. This is good. Do you know why this happens? Let's look at this from the other perspective. Can we? It's adjusted to the cursor, so it won't happen. But basically, yeah, this is what happens. We're looking at the sphere, and the sphere has the collider, and it's on, and the sphere is on default layer, which makes the sphere itself reactive to our screen point array stuff and to our raycast. So this moves the point a bit closer every time on every iteration, but then the sphere flies through the camera, it's behind us, and when the stuff is behind us, then it strikes the terrain again, and then we can move it again. Okay, this is good. I like things like this. That's really easy to fix. Add layer. Ignore raycast built-in layer 2. But for some reason, ignore raycast. Good. And prefab, apply all. And here, okay, everything's like this, and here everything's good. Okay, that's fine. Now it should stay in the place. It should be a boring sphere. Yeah, that's a boring sphere now. We'll add some rotation to this to align to the ground, but right now it's a sphere. Who cares about the sphere? Now we want to let this thing move. Why did I make it a separate thing? I made it a separate thing because I want someone else to be able to set its position. Public, you know what I will do? Static move hand left. Vector 3 position. That's what I mean by separating one part from the other. I will move the part of the code that does raycasting into our controller, because it's really related to mouse movement, so it's not portable to any consoles or anything at all. It will just stay as it is. But I will keep the positioning in here, because it's not related, of course. Also, I don't want other controllers to know about this left static, right static. This stuff can change. It's really internal to this thing. That's why I will keep it here. And equals left question mark, left hand, right hand. Let's say even worse. Let's do this like this. Now it's much better. Okay. Okay. And hand dot transform dot position equals position. Public static void, of course. Though we'll have an issue that our hand, if it's being moved out of the screen, then the hand itself will not know what to do. We'll need to tell it. Is it a problem? I don't think so. It's actually... yeah, it shouldn't care. I'm not yet sure where it will go. Maybe it will get hidden? Something like behind the camera? Yeah! Hi Foxy, hi Jinx. SVG streamed? What does that mean? This. And then we'll move this block out of here. The entire block. Here. I'll go into... So, an object can have both the fixed update and regular update. Oh, allowed layers. Ho ho ho, that's... void layer mask get allowed layers left false. Oh, you have morning in there. You're really early in the morning, guys. I wonder why you're here. But thank you for coming. I really appreciate that. Return left left hand dot allowed layers, right hand dot allowed layers. So, for whatever reason... Yay, Foxy, you're good. Working this early in the morning. How early is that for you? It should be... it's not that early. It's like 10? Or... no, it's 11. It's 11 AM in the morning. 11. Something like that. Come on, Hearthstone is a decent game. They have a bunch of good stuff in there. Though, personally, I didn't play it too much. Get allowed layers. So we're dealing with the right hand, so we don't care about passing any parameters in there. What is the mode in Hearthstone? The hand dot move hand to ray dot point dot no hit dot point. So yeah, we created a slightly weird thing over here. Actually no, the hand shouldn't know about these layers. It doesn't care. We'll just move it here. Controls. And let's call this stuff PC controls. And let's rename the whole file into the PC controls. No, this. And then it will be dropped from our main camera, but okay, we'll fix it. What is that awesome mode that you're playing in there? Allowed layers. Hand the layers. Okay, so then we can remove this method for good, but move hand is still in there. And the hand itself will need to identify its own rotation, because it doesn't matter on which control you use it. so now it should not work, because I renamed stuff. Why this keeps appearing? Come on. Go away, go away. Yeah, thanks. Script. And this script should be PC controls. And let's go to Unity. PC only code. How to make a video game without any coding? How can I convert platform dependent piece of code? Platform dependent compilation. So you see, if it's PC standalone 06 standalone win, Windows standalone applications, Unity standalone, blah 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 blah. Okay, I'll think about it later. So I wanted to right away set GUI layout, group key down. Okay, so I wanted to. I just hate this pop-up. I don't know where it comes from and how to remove it. I wanted to right away split the code into so-called, let's call it a branch, so this will only work when we're on PC, but we will be on PC for some time and we will change the behavior afterwards. That's not really meaningful to do it right now. So this thing overrides, the hand overrides, that's good. So now we should see the same picture, but we don't. Because, why? What the hell? Let's do this. Huh? PC control does not be in. Oh, okay. For some reason it didn't save. Good. It's still. What the hell? What the hell? Okay. So it seems like with the most recent version of Unity, if some prefab is missing a control, is missing a script, then it gets broken and it doesn't get properly saved or restored. Okay, so now we see that the mouse is not here, but that stuff is still not called. I wonder why. So this stuff works, but this stuff doesn't. The debug doesn't work, yeah? Really? It really doesn't work? Come on. Oh, null reference exception. I see it. Here. Pause. Stuff. Hand left. Right hand. What? Oh. And I finally did this. So of course I missed the left and right hands. I should have called them hand 1 and hand 2. This would have made stuff much more stable for me. I wonder why the debug oh, because the breakpoints don't work that easily. Let's just Google it right away. Unity VS Code breakpoints. Debugger for Unity. Okay, good. Let's go here and say Unity. Debugger for Unity. Let's install it. I will need it. I don't know when and why, but I will need it. Debugger is a crucial part. nothing is ever going to work without debugger. But I will learn how to use it later when I finally come to that. Okay. I remember debugging stuff with... yeah, it's moving properly now. You can see the small ball moving around the place. Good, but that's just the beginning. So what happens on the edge? On the edge right now, it just gets stuck. You see? It just stuck. You can move a bit. Oh. I should just disable the keyboard movement. It's moving right now in relational coordinates, which is not something I want to see. Oh. Huh. So the problem here is that the camera will move into this, when I press forward, it will move in the direction it's looking in, but I want to move it parallel to the ground. But I want to move it parallel to the ground into the same direction, which makes it a bit weird, but it's doable. Direction equals this transform forward, and direction dot y is top to bottom equals 0, then direction dot normalize. Yep, now we can use this direction everywhere. Why am I even fixing this if I want to get rid of this block? Because probably I will not get rid of it. Probably I will allow movement with WASD because that's convenient when I have a keyboard. And most likely I will need this part for the controllers. It's basically the same stuff, they will move with the controllers. And yeah, of course, everything's wrong. What? Why is that? Ah, yeah, I see. So yeah, the direction is forward direction. Forward direction. But I will also need the left direction and right direction and whatnot. So let's make it separate stuff. Right here. Private vector 3 front direction. Get. When you get the front direction, you will receive something like this. Actually, you can calculate the right direction from the forward one, but I don't want to. I'm a bit too lazy. Left direction and right direction. So you will just need to take a vector that is orthogonal to the current one, and that's really simple. It just doesn't make any sense, because it will be less readable for a person who doesn't know what is where. I mean, how to get the orthogonal vector and that stuff. And it will not help to speed stuff up or to make stuff work better, because I believe those functions work fast enough. Front. Why did I call it front? Forward direction. Okay, good. Now I can play this. I didn't yet think about the camera rotation. Okay, yep, now it does what I want. So, when we move in a diagonal line, the speed is higher, because we're setting speeds separately, and it's almost 50% higher when you combine two speeds. That's why in Doom, whichever version, people usually try to run not in front of them, but sideways. We'll keep this bug for now. We don't care about it. What we care about is the drag and drop stuff. What we want to happen upon user control is first so when user drags, we want the hand to stay on one place and the camera to move around the place. Not around, I mean forward, backwards, whatever, without the rotation yet. What it means? It means that first Unity camera control date with fixed update. Oh, also there is late update. Late update is something that happens too late, basically. This is confusing enough for me. As a general rule, input should be in update so that there is no chance of having a frame in which you miss the player input, which could happen if you placed it in fixed update, say. Physics in fixed update, camera moved in late update so that it reflects the positions of any object that might have moved. That makes sense. But what that also means is that I need to put my object into the late update. Do I like this? The frame hands on the ground, great, but when look and common project blah 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 button is ground. Okay, so what people are saying, just think about what you're doing. Let's try to think. Let's forget about fluent controls. This thing will move the hand the last, which means after all the updates are done, the actual scene is being rendered. That means that if we do it in update or fixed update, it can run in the beginning of the cycle. Then our hand will be placed somewhere. It will calculate its rotation and whatnot, that some objects will move under it and the new position will not be relevant anymore. That means we should go into the late update, and it should be the latest update. I mean, like, any objects should stop moving by the point we reach this. That's a really good idea. And the same with the camera, because camera can collide with different objects. We don't want that to happen. That's good. That's good. Input, get mouse button down 0. Whatever, 0. I believe 0 is left mouse button. So let's think what we can change on mouse click just to test stuff. Default material, default material, default material. This should have color, yeah. So let's do this. Public static void grab blue left. Also, that will be fun with VR and controller and two hands being able to tear yourself apart into two different sides, because you can pull with both hands. We'll think about this problem much later. I'm getting bored of writing this stuff. I mean, I will have to copy this again, and then maybe I'll have to copy this again, and then maybe again, and maybe I should move it somewhere else. But I don't like huge call stacks, you know? Private static hand get hand left turn this. It doesn't look like it makes the code easier, because right now it almost doesn't, but when we add some extra validation, like for example that both hands should appear, that the hand that we're dealing with should be present, because if we return null from here, means something is going terribly wrong, that should never happen, then it will make more sense, because it will be easier to change this. Yeah, I'm teaching you basics of development just because I'm thinking about it and I have to talk about something. Then one day you'll come to an interview about a developer and they will ask you about some design. They will ask you some design questions and you'll be like, yeah, I know, you know, I've seen that streamer who's saying stuff about these design questions. And you'll pass the interview, you know? That's useful. Okay, jokes aside. Hand.grab. As usual, we don't pass anything here. Mesh render get component mesh renderer. Let's assume that this stuff has mesh renderer. Material color. I don't remember how to do this. Unity change mesh render color. The whole video on YouTube about changing color. No way. .material.color. I was right. That's good. Material.color equals color dot red. Public static void onGrab left. And let's make it gray again. Sorry. Wake. My kid woke up. She should be sleeping right now. That's really too late. Never mind. Get head and grab. Yeah, okay. So we want to do this dot. Okay. Let's add some question marks. Cannot. Is there some method? Property name e.g. color. It's named color. Okay, now made. This set color will set color for shader. It will not set color for the entire material, which is not what we need. We need just this stuff. Let's say onGrab left. onGrab is left. Okay. So now on start it will always be gray. Then when we grab something, it will become red. And if the mouse button is down, else if input get mouse button up 0 and onGrab. So the problem here. What? Okay, equals false. So the problem that we will run into right here is that if I grab something and then I pass and then I move the cursor out of the scene, and most likely, you see, when I'm grabbing something it gets red. But if I move something like this, yeah, you see, it's not catching anymore at things that I'm still grabbing. Though it's fair. I mean, not like it stays, so it sends the unclick anyway. And if I click the right mouse button, then nothing happens. That's what I expected to happen over here. Okay, now, if we grab it, what should happen? The hand should force the camera movement, I believe. But that's the loop. Is there a loop? Let's think about it. There is indeed. So that means that first we will do the input and grab slash ungrab. Then, if it's not grabbing right now, so what I'm thinking about right now is how to pass the what to do with controls. When we're moving somewhere with the hand, that means we don't want the hand to move around. If we're doing something like, let me show you. Yeah, I know the warning. So if we're looking, for example, from here, and we have our hand right here, then if we move the camera here, then we want our hand to get hidden by the object. We don't want it to jump in front of us. That will look terrible. Which means when the hand grabs, it should not move. Which is pretty easy to do. Is grabbing equals false, and we will say here is grabbing equals true, and is grabbing equals false, and here if and is grabbing. So the hand itself will know if it should move or not. The camera shouldn't really care much about this. Then, okay, good. Now we know if this thing is grabbing or not. We should try moving the camera. We want to move the hand into some position, but instead we will move the camera. Will it move the same way all the time? No one knows. Let's play around with hand. Yeah, build up. So let's play around with the hand tool. So we're more actually this hand behaves worse than the one I'm trying to make. Whatever. It's just made for different reasons, for different purposes. So let's say that I'm grabbing something, I'm moving somewhere, and instead of moving the object, I will move the camera. It will make stuff pretty bad, because it will fix the cursor. It will not fix the cursor. which is not the way we want it to happen. Which means that so okay, unity bind cursor to location fix. So the problem with lock cursor over here is that cursor locked. If you simply want a custom, you can cursor, set cursor, set cursor. Okay. So the problem here is that if we just do cursor.lock state equals dot locked, and here we'll do dot confined, and we'll, let's say, remember the position, because that's what we'll have to do. Vector tree last position last position equals vector 3.0. We have to put it somewhere in case of some cursor dot input dot mouse position, and here we'll say last input dot mouse position. I hope it has setter. Nope, it doesn't. Cannot be assigned to mouse present scroll delta get mouse. Unity move for to position. You can't by the operating system, as far as I know. How do you lock the cursor in the middle of the screen? If you set it somehow, just set it to the right coordinates. What? No way. Oh, this is big deal. X pose, Y pose, set cursor position. Solves the problem perfectly. Oh my god. This, like, I know this works, but importing user32 DLL inside the game sounds like a way to have issues. Also, I'm wrong thinking that cursor will not move. It will. So forget about this. This is not necessary. The cursor will still move on the screen, because that's how we want stuff to happen. So mask clear, last cursor position. Okay, good. Need to think about it. I'll probably need this. So, you're grabbing somewhere. Do you want to move? I'm just thinking where to put this stuff and how to put it properly. 1 second. Grab You move, and it will tell you where to move stuff, but that's not what you should do. You should move the camera so the point stays in there. Okay, let's say we have some ground right here. Then say we have our hand right here and camera watching from here, like this. This is the initial ray. Then when we move the hand, the new position for cursor should be, for the object should be right here. But what we should do instead is to keep the mouse right over here, so that this position, so we moved out. So we'll need to move camera back there. And we'll need to put it into the same position. It will work for everything. I mean, everywhere, really. So that means that we should move the camera in here. Which means we will do it inside of this stuff. But then this hit point won't give us any information. Or will it? Or will it? It most likely won't. We'll need to move it exactly this distance out. This distance out. I mean, this distance out. For that, we'll need some formula. Come on, why do I always have something like this open? Okay. Which means that we'll get the new position, we'll subtract it from the old position, and get the diff. We will transform it. Should we even transform? Yes, we should. Problem is that new position is the same line. It doesn't mean that it's the same. Being the same line doesn't mean that the camera should follow this slope. It should not. Let's say camera should move in a plane that is above all the surface, so it shouldn't get higher or lower, which means we shouldn't move it there. We should not do this. We should do this. Color, please. This, thank you. We should do this. That's first. Second, the only thing we can trust here is this angle. Angle between those two. This angle. How do we calculate the movement by this angle? We need... is that enough? So... no, don't save this. Okay, so let's say... it was shift click. Okay, whatever. So let's say we had this. Now we have this. We can continue this line somewhere. Let's check the spot. So, like this. Then, sorry. I'm not really a professional with paint, let's be honest. This line, and I should calculate the movement that will place. This is drawn like this. I should calculate the length of this. I know both those lengths. No, I know this length. I know this one, and I do know the coordinates of these things. Okay, so I need to find the spot on this line that will. Okay, so the first line is x minus x1 divided by y minus y1. The second one is x minus x2 divided by y2. x1 minus x, whatever, it doesn't matter. So this is x1, this is x2. Okay, this is x. Let's say this is x1. What the hell? Come on. Line by 2 points. Okay, so please just give me the formula and not this stuff. Really? Come on. Okay, yeah, thanks. So I will have those two lines, then I will need to find this point on one of those lines by the position of the second one. Let's do this. 2 as x1 divided by x2 as x1 x x minus x1. Okay, yeah, so the division of y if y is the same as the division of x's. And let's say that we have first, second, and minus y2, and this is the second line. So x minus x1, this is y1, 2 minus. So we know where they intersect, and this is y1, y1, so hard to say. x1, this y1 is the position. We need three-dimensional coordinates, of course. That passes through the point is given by formula. So this is the equation of a line that passes through one point. I need the equation of a line that passes through 2 points. And it was really simple. I'm starting to think that it's faster to just create the formula than to find it. Maybe we should ask someone. Come on. I know. I just want to have a simplest equation over here. Yeah, like this. 0 divided by x1 minus x0 equals y minus y0 divided by y1 minus y0 equals z0 divided by y minus z0. Why did I put 2 in here? Whatever. And then the second one, it will be x0 will stay the same. We have the second coordinate over here because they intersect. Then what I want to find is point on this line where y coordinate is equal to y1. So it means that y equals y1, x equals y1 minus y0 divided by y2 minus y0. Multiply this by x2 minus x0 plus x0, and z equals the same crap basically, just with z instead of y's. Yep, I multiply here and there and everywhere. Okay. The problem here is that we can get division by 0 over here. So if our new coordinate is hitting the camera, then we might have some issues over here. But we can use the ray for this. Okay, I'm running out of time for today, so let's keep it simple. Let's write this code, let's embrace the bug, and then let's see what will happen. If it's not grabbing, if it is ref position equals and transform position, then new position equals new vector 3, and here, okay, let's put B and let's call it A. Whatever. I'll need the camera. So in Unity, anyone can access the camera to transfer, I believe. A camera device through each player, an object reference is required for non-static main transform.position. So right now I'm assuming that we will have only one camera, but we can basically just put it as a parameter over here. Put camera parameter. And then here we will do the XYZ thing. So x1 is the alt position. Alt position dot y minus camera position dot y by position dot really x go to sleep soon. Position dot y minus camera position dot y plus camera position dot x. Okay, then we'll put new camera position, to be honest. No, oh yeah, okay, that's new position, that's true. Y1, and then Z is the same stuff. This. Okay. So that. Oh yeah, I wrote the y1 in there, of course. The y1 is old position dot y. Then let's do this diff equals new position, old position. No, this time actually it works like this, I believe. And camera main transform position diff main camera main. Come on. This. And let's see what happens next. I believe something terrible will happen. Huh. So we get the initial teleportation somewhere, and it's a big leap. But afterwards, things are moving in opposite direction from the one that I've expected, of course. Like this. If transform position is less than dot magnitude is less than 0.001 f. Better. We don't care about this case. So if we're pointing at exactly the same point where we were pointing before, we don't need to move or do anything at all. You see, this still works, but now, whoa. What? Log diff. So I used to debug like this. That's a huge leap, because here it was y. Now let's play. This. So the point is that it was accelerating the move. Yeah, you see, now it works. Nice, and we can even go through the places. But it will not work if we reach the edge of the screen, of course, because why would it? And it will stop working if we go too far from the scene. And one more thing, it will not work if we put mouse onto the same level as our position. And that will happen. Not necessarily today, but this will happen. So to do first, don't calculate a new position, just get diff. Second, count for position at y equals position at y. And that's it. That's the plan. Okay, what we did today compared to this, we made it generic. Let's move it there. We enabled grabbing. I mean, what did I mean here? Internal state, we're not letting mouse off the screen. Yeah, that's good. So we are grabbing the mouse, then we show some object over there. We implemented the drag action, but there is some bug in there, so let's keep it. And we have something planned for tomorrow. That's it. Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching this, and see you tomorrow.